talk about it? Can we talk about it? They will never to the truth around it. Hey, buddy. What's up, guys? Just waiting for a couple people to jump on. Happy Thursday morning. We're doing Truth and Tea today instead of Thursday. We skipped Thursday, instead of Tuesday. We're doing Thursday this week, so let me know if you're out there. Say hi, share this. See if we can't get anyone else on this call with us to chat about boundaries, because that's what we're talking about. Can we talk about it? Yes, we can. Can we talk about it? Anyways, big fan of that song. Love it. Gets me real pumped up for these conversation. That's Ruby Amanfu. Can we talk about it? Indie artist. Big fan of the indie artists. Actually making a point now of going out and finding them because, they're doing their thing with no filter and nobody telling them what to do. So I like to find them and promote them. Anyways, happy Thursday, guys. What the is up? My family and I went on a little trippy this week. Just a one-nighter out to the big old city of Sudbury. And we enjoyed some quality time together, some entertainment. And it was pretty good. Overall, it was pretty good. I have a tendency of getting frustrated and, expecting certain reactions when we go out for both family time and, just that special kind of quality, those extras, But my kids are just kids, just like all other kids, and they often expect more, and that really grinds my gears. So there was a couple of moments where I ended up raising my voice and being frustrated by their lack of gratitude. And a couple of things I wanted to share about that, that's why I'm bringing it up, is number one, this is like a pattern for me when we do fun stuff. I get really frustrated when everybody's not being very grateful about it. I think that's my mom coming out in me. And so I'm currently working on that. And, the time away and seeing it happen again, from, this point of view of having gone through some plant medicine therapy and a great deal of inner child work. When that part of me kind of came out, I was like, oh, wow, I really don't like that. I don't like the way that I feel. And so I'm choosing to look a little bit more deeply into that and figure out what I need to do and forgive in order to just allow them to fucking be kids and not have, this expectation that they're not going to want more. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they want more, right? And my kids are great. They really are grateful. And that's why I know that it is something I need to work on, because it's a reaction. It's not a response. So, anywho, besides all that, I do want to talk about boundaries a little bit today. And I'm going to keep it short like I always do for Truth and Tea. We're just going to have a quick little chat here. And then I'm going to encourage you to just join me in the village so that you can be part of all of our conversations. So when it comes to boundaries, I think a lot of people don't really know what boundaries are. I don't think they're too sure on how to maintain them, how to implement them. And they're definitely not sure what it means to reevaluate and to either adjust boundaries or get rid of them altogether. So I'm going to talk about a few of those things briefly, and I hope that I can provide you with just like a little bit of insight and hopefully equip you to feel a little bit more secure in your boundaries. Perhaps give you a chance to look at the boundaries that you have right now, or the lack of boundaries that you have, and see what adjustments need to be made. But in the end of this conversation, what I truly hope to pass on to you is that boundaries are very critical and important when it comes to our healing journey. When we are in the survival paradigm, boundaries, safe, healthy boundaries that we consistently implement are absolutely necessary. They're absolutely needed in order to get that healing done, in order to get into the discomfort that you need to in order to heal. Boundaries are important. And oftentimes we find ourselves wishing we had done a better job of implementing our boundaries when an opportunity for our healed version to step forward comes up and she's not available. So what I mean by that is the best time to, I don't know if it's the best time is the right way to phrase this. Just give me a second. So once you have moved through your healing space, and I truly do believe that people can heal, that they can overcome their trauma, they can overcome their setbacks, they can overcome shitty relationships. I truly believe that you can overcome all of those things, and that when you do, boundaries aren't necessary. And when you get to a place of courage, where you can actually start to take a deeper look at your boundaries and begin shifting them, there is an opportunity for you. There's an opportunity for you to see, just how much work you've done and if it's paying off. So when we're talking about boundaries, I think in terms of implementing them, the best course of action is consistency. So unless you are consistently implementing your boundaries and ensuring that you are following them, there's no point in having them. And I say you are following them because that is a key point here when we're talking about boundaries. Oftentimes we make rules out of our boundaries, what we're willing to accept and what we're not willing to accept. And we expect other people to abide by those rules. We expect other people to, communicate with us and be with us and interact with us as long as they are abiding by those rules, by those boundaries. But the truth is that it's not their responsibility whatsoever. It's your responsibility. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. And that's why when they have done some healing and they are coming around to looking at their life and their relationships in, new light, and they try to maybe, rein back some of those boundaries or shift them or change them, they are met with difficulty. And that's because they have not been consistent in implementing and following their own boundaries up until this point. It's nobody else's responsibility but your own. If you have a boundary, you're the one that has to follow the rule. And when you don't follow the rule, when you are lenient with it, when you say, well, maybe today can be different, or, they're in that specific type of mood today, so maybe I'll just be I'll just put my guard down, or whatever it is. If you are unable to follow through and be consistent with your own boundaries, they are never going to work. They're never, ever going to work. So what the fuck's the point in having them is like the first question, right? If you're going to have them, it is your responsibility to make them work for you, and nobody else's responsibility at all. Zero, zilch. They've got literally nothing to do with it. And that's hard for some people to swallow because, well, it's really easy to blame others. It's really, really easy to say that they're not working because of other people. But that's never the case, ever. That's never the case. If your boundaries aren't working, it's because A, you're not following them, you're not being consistent with them, or B, they're the wrong boundary. So that's where, taking inventory and, reviewing our boundaries comes into play, because they can shift, they can move, things do change. We do experience bouts of healing, and we do, become aware of different things. And so shifting our boundaries along the way is important. It's important to take a look at them and figure out, are they serving me? Is the boundary that I have in place that I'm consistently upholding, is it serving me? Is it serving me? And as long as it's serving you, and it's serving your healing, as long as it's serving your healing, not your ego and not any other part of you, but as long as it's serving your healing, and you're consistently implementing it, it's a healthy, good boundary. As soon as it's not serving you anymore, or as soon as it's serving your ego, or as soon as it's not being maintained, as soon as you find yourself, slipping, then it's time to look at that boundary again and see what needs to be changed. And sometimes it takes time. It really does take time to figure out what is the best boundary for your healing, what that really looks like. Is it cutting people out of your life completely? Is it minimizing contact? Is it ensuring that conversations and time together are very short? Is it boundaries at work? And how much control do you have over them? At work, in other social situations where other people are. Like, it's important for your healing to have these boundaries, but you can't put yourself in situations where it's going to be impossible to implement them, or they're never going to work, because you're never going to implement them. And if you have healthy boundaries and you implement them consistently, and you reevaluate them and you shift them as needed, and they're serving your healing, eventually you will heal the parts of you that need to be healed that were connected to that boundary. And then this beautiful thing happens where you actually get to get rid of that boundary. You get to say goodbye, I don't need you anymore. And a lot of people, they really kind of get frustrated when I say this, because their boundaries are so important to them. And I get it. Yeah, for sure. Your boundaries are important, especially if they are facilitating healing. But if and when you actually do heal, you don't need them anymore. And what this looks like is when you are in a healed place where your emotional responses are regulated, where you feel grounded in your presence and in your truth, where you can speak easily from a space of authenticity. This is a healed version of you, and that vibration dictates what your boundaries are. So you don't have to have rules. You don't have to implement things. You don't have to evaluate them. You don't have to take inventory. You don't have to adjust and shift, because you have already done that work. And you have raised your vibration to the point where it dictates what your boundaries are. It dictates what you put up with. It dictates how long you stay in a situation. Immediately you respond from that vibration. You enter situations and relationships and opportunities and darkness with that healed version of self, and your vibration of that healing dictates what your boundaries are, or what they need to be, or just the appropriate response or way of interacting. And that's not to say that you turn into a cold-hearted bitch and people just don't feel comfortable approaching you, because that's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking that you will be so confident and secure and grounded in your authentic presence that anybody who has the potential, or who previously had the potential of bringing you down and lowering that vibration, just doesn't have that capacity anymore, is incapable of doing it. In fact, your strength and your integrity and your deep inner knowing will likely trigger them, because they aren't going to understand why they are all of a sudden compelled to respond to you in a different way. And oftentimes that response is to slowly stop showing up, because you have out vibrated them. You have raised your frequency so much through your healing that when they are in your presence, they automatically know that they're vibing too low, and it doesn't feel right. It feels icky, it feels uncomfortable. And so they will begin to respond from that place. So boundaries are important. They're so important while you're healing. They're equally as important to remove when you've done that healing. For instance, I recently rekindled a relationship. I recently opened my heart to a lost relationship. And the relationship was lost due to a toxic encounter with this person. And a boundary was put in place so that I could tend to my mental health and healing. And in that healing, I came to understand that the thing that drove me away from this person to begin with was not this person's fault. And so for over 5 years, I didn't have a relationship with this person. And in that time, I healed a great deal. And I came to understand that I didn't need that boundary anymore with that person, because it was never their fault in the first place. And I had healed that part of myself. And I was ready. And so just as important as it is to have boundaries, it's important to reevaluate them and get rid of them when they're no longer serving your healing. Because what you're really doing is you're binding your hero energy. You're binding your Aries energy, your go-getter energy, your hero energy. And until you are able to unbind that part of yourself, you will never truly be whole. So keep your boundaries, keep your healthy boundaries in place, be consistent with them, allow them to work for you and facilitate healing until you no longer need them. Don't let them get in the way of you receiving and cultivating deep connections with people, okay? They are healthy until they're not. So that's it for today for Truths and Tea and Triggers. I hope that you enjoyed. If you have any questions or any of this triggers, any thoughts or ideas that you'd like to discuss, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay? Take care. Bye.